This is Jack Burton in the Pork Chop Express, and I'm talking to whoever's listening out there.
It's a pretty amazing planet we live on here, and a man would have to be some kind of fool to think we're all alone in this universe.
Welcome, Comma Ninjas. We have now come to the last rule that we've gone over, which in fact is the first comma rule. I've saved it for last because it is the hardest, most involved. But once you get the hang of it, it'll be a piece of cake. Alright, so sit yourself down. Be sure to write down these examples. Let's get down to it.
There is a hidden world where ancient evil weaves a modern mystery.
What's going on here? Is this some kind of
Magic. The darkest magic.
Okay, rule number one. The big thing that you need to know are these two things. First off, these introductory bits. They are phrases or clauses that are not needed to understand the rest of the sentence. You can take them out. You can clip them right off from the beginning of the sentence, and the sentence will still be okay. You'll be able to understand it. So again, they're not necessary to the rest of the sentence. They always come before the rest of the sentence, and usually they're not needed. Second thing you need to know about introductory bits, that you put a comma after them. Those are the two main rules. Now, we're going to talk about three different kinds of introductory bits, and this is where it can get complicated. We're going to talk about small, medium, and large introductory bits. So, let's first start with the small introductory bits.
Finally, we shall bring order out of chaos.
So, small introductory bits are going to be pretty familiar to you. They're actually the conjunctive adverbs, also known as interrupters, that you learned from Rule 7. Aha! Instead of being in Rule 7 in between two introductory clauses, they're going to come at the beginning of a sentence. Let's take a look at this example. The sentence is, generally extraterrestrials are friendly and helpful. First thing we want to do, always, is to find the subject and the verb of the main sentence. Extraterrestrials are the subject. Are is the verb. It's a linking verb to be. Terrestrials are friendly and helpful. That is the independent clause, the sentence. So what is this at the beginning? Is it needed? Nope. So what do? We put a comma. There you go. And as you'll recognize from your list of conjunctive adverbs, generally is on that list. So again, these small introductory bits, usually conjunctive adverbs, pretty small, and they start right at the beginning of the sentence.
There are many mysteries, many unanswerable questions, even in a life as short.
Now, medium-sized introductory bits is where it gets tricky. And unfortunately, I'm going to give you some kind of hard vocabulary to know. So that's coming up. Get ready for it. And to tell you the truth, we could spend weeks on everything that's covered under medium-sized introductory bits. But we'll give you the short version so you can get through this pre-test and post-test. So for now, what you need to know is medium-sized introductory bits are usually between 2 and 4 words in length. Again, they always come at the beginning of the sentence, and of course, they can always get taken out of, and the sentence will be okay. Let's take a look at 4 of them. In fact, this isn't too hard. This is our subject. Isn't is our verb. Okay, this thing at the beginning, that's not necessary to the sentence. This isn't too hard. That'd be all set by itself. So, here's our introductory bit. Let's put a comma after it. Let's take a look at this next one. Throughout this week, we have studied commas. Well, we is our subject. Have studied is our verb. We have studied commas. That could be a sentence by itself. So what's this stuff beforehand? Throughout this week, That's additional information that doesn't necessarily need to be there. That's another medium-sized introductory bit. Personally speaking, I love commas. I already put the comma there. You're in luck. I love commas as the subject. Again, here is your introductory bit. Personally speaking, doesn't need to be in that sentence. The sentence is fine without it. It just comes before and adds a little to it. Again, I gave you the comma for this one. Satisfied with your progress. That is the introductory bit. Not necessary to the rest of the sentence. Subject I, verb deemed. I deemed the class comma ninjas. It'd be fine without this introductory bit. That's just kind of a little thing in the beginning to tack on to make it a little classier. All right, so these are 4 examples of medium-sized introductory bits. Now I'm going to lay these strange grammar terms on you. So, hold on.
Somebody, I don't care who, tell me what is going on.
As it turns out, there are several different kinds of medium-sized introductory phrases. And to tell you the truth, I have videos for each one of these that are about 12 minutes long each, which goes in depth to what these are. But suffice it to say for right now, they're often prepositional phrases, like this is a prepositional phrase, and this is a longer prepositional phrase. And they're gerund phrases, participial phrases, and we also have infinitive phrases in there. So phrases, phrases, phrases. Again, you don't need them for this quiz. We will go in depth with those a little bit later on in life. But for now, know that our phrases are about 2 to 4 words in length for a medium-sized introductory phrase. And always, a comma comes after. Now, the only little asterisk I am going to give you is that this comma rule has a little slight flaw to it when it comes to the prepositional phrases part of the medium-sized introductory phrases. And I'm only going to tell you this for now. We're not going to be quizzed on it. But general rule of thumb is that for a prepositional phrase to have a comma after it, prepositional phrases usually need to be 5 words long or longer to get that comma. Otherwise, you don't even bother. So even though these are still introductory phrases, honestly, when they're prepositional phrases, it's usually 5+ to get the comma. But for now, forget I said that until we go more in depth into prepositional phrases.
My destiny rests in your capable hands.
Hey, I'll do my best.
Okay, whew, that hard bit was over with. Now let's talk about large introductory bits. Large introductory bits are 5 or more words, and they're no longer phrases. They're very rarely phrases. Right now, they're actually more often clauses. And not only that, they are a clause that you are familiar with by now. You know these large introductory bits from Rule 3, the comma splice rule. Turns out, these are the dependent clauses that are at the beginning of a sentence. And they come before an independent clause. So we've had a little practice with these already, and they're not too hard to spot. And again, just like with common rule number 3, these dependent clauses always start with a subordinator. And remember, you have a list of subordinators. So let's take a look at this sentence here and see where to put the comma. As far as I'm concerned, you have now mastered introductory bits. Okay, let's look for the subject, you. Verb is have now mastered. Okay, you have now mastered introductory bits. That's the independent clause. And so here's the stuff at the beginning. It can be taken out as far as I'm concerned. It can be taken out and the sentence is just fine. So here it is. Here's our long introductory bit. And just like all the medium and the small introductory bits, we put a comma at the end and be done with it. Boom. So, to sum up, you really got to do two things to find where to put the comma for this rule. First, you got to find that main subject and verb of the sentence. In other words, you got to find the independent clause part. Secondly, look for the extra, unnecessary phrases or dependent clauses before that independent clause. And boom, that is your introductory bit. And of course, like Beyonce would say, if she was into grammar, you gotta put a comma after it. Sorry. You know, gotta put a ring on it. I tried. So that's it, comma ninjas. You are now fully invested with awesome comma placing powers, and you're ready to roll. Now, sure, there's a couple extra little rules that we can talk about later, but these are the 7 main rules that will get you out of most of your jams. Awesome.
You ready, Jack?
I was born ready.